It's official. Caitlin Clark is out, and the story behind her injury is somehow more confusing, frustrating, and potentially damaging than anyone expected. What started as a minor groin strain has snowballed into a month-long mystery that now has fans, media insiders, and even former players questioning what's really going on behind the scenes. And just 2 minutes ago, okay, maybe not literally, but close enough, a new twist dropped from a fever team doctor that's thrown gas on the fire. Caitlin may not be coming back anytime soon. In fact, the possibility of her being out permanently this season, not off the table. Let's break this down, because the whole situation is giving, we're not telling you the full story. And the timeline makes less sense than a post-game quote from a coach trying to save face. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. It all began a little over a month ago when Caitlin Clark was ruled out with what was described as a mild groin strain. Okay, nothing alarming. These things happen, especially when you're a rookie logging heavy minutes, getting double-teamed nightly, and being physically targeted in half your matchups. At first, she was listed as day-to-day. Fans figured she'd rest for a game or two and be back on the court, business as usual. But then she didn't come back. 1 game turned into 3, then 5, then 8, and suddenly, day-to-day turned into week-to-week, without anyone really explaining the shift. No video of her rehabbing. No official medical updates. Just vague coaching statements like, she's progressing and we're optimistic. Translation, we have no clue. Or worse, we do and we're not saying. Then came the contradictions. One report claimed Caitlin was sprinting full court. Another, just days later, said she hadn't even participated in a full practice. Huh, how are you doing sprints but not practicing? That's when fans started to feel it. The gap between what was being said and what was actually happening, widening by the day. It didn't help that some outlets began hinting that her return was right around the corner, right before she was ruled out for yet another game, and yet another. Meanwhile, those expensive tickets sold for full arenas under the hope, the assumption, that Caitlin Clark would be back any minute now. Coincidence? Or cash grab? Let's be real. The WNBA has never seen anything like Caitlin Clark's impact. We're talking sold-out arenas, primetime coverage, triple the merch sales. Her name alone adds value to every game she's connected to. And without her on the court, the shine dims. Fast. So if there was even a hint that someone in the Fever organization was stretching the truth, or worse, using her name to sell tickets while knowing she wasn't close to returning, that would be a massive scandal. And right now, it's not looking great. Because here's where it gets truly bizarre. Behind the scenes, sources close to the team started leaking tidbits that Caitlin's injury might be worse than originally disclosed. Words like lingering, delicate, and chronic started floating around. And the fear that it's not just a groin strain. It's a potential long-term issue that could follow her through the season or even beyond. Then the team doctor finally spoke up, and what was said, not reassuring. Instead of confirming a timeline, the doctor admitted that her recovery has hit some complications and that long-term rest may be required to avoid re-injury. In other words, not only is she not ready, she might not be back at all this season. And let's pause there, because if that's the case, what the hell have we been watching for the last month? Why the conflicting messages? Why the vague interviews, the hopeful headlines, that we'll see answers from coaches who clearly knew more than they were saying? If Caitlin's injury was always more serious than the public was led to believe, then this isn't just a case of unfortunate bad luck. This is mishandling of her health, her reputation, and the trust of an entire fan base. And let's not ignore the risk this puts on her. Because if Caitlin comes back too early, if she's pressured, even subtly, to return before she's ready, it's not just about re-injury. It's about the possibility of permanent damage. Groin injuries are no joke, especially in high-impact sports. Rushing it doesn't just cost a few extra games. It could derail her entire rookie season, or worse, set her back years. So if there's even a whisper of pressure from inside the Fever organization or from the league itself to get her back in time for playoffs, that's not just irresponsible. That's reckless. And the pressure is definitely there. Because the Fever are teetering on a playoff spot. Barely. And without Caitlin, the odds aren't pretty. With her, ticket sales spike, TV ratings climb, and that playoff hope suddenly becomes marketable. But at what cost? Let's talk about the psychological impact, too. You think Caitlin Clark doesn't want to be out there? You think the most competitive, driven, relentlessly focused rookie in the league is just chilling on the bench because she likes Gatorade breaks? This is killing her. Every game she misses, every headline about her uncertain timeline, every time her teammates get asked about her status instead of their own play, it chips away at her momentum, at her presence, at the sense that she's the central force in this franchise's rebuild. And it's not just her. This situation is slowly becoming the storyline around the WNBA, and it's not the kind of attention the league wants. Because when the most talked about player in your league disappears under a cloud of bad injury communication and shady PR spin, the message it sends, loud and clear, you can be the golden child, the face of the new era, the one who finally brought in the crowds. But when it comes to your health, transparency is optional, protection is questionable, and your future, it's a marketing tool. Let that sink in. What's worse is the silence from her reps. Her management, sponsors, everyone just as vague. No statements clarifying anything. No insight into the plan. Just quiet reposts of Fever game highlights and Nike ad campaigns. Like nothing's wrong. But something is wrong. Because when a player's career starts to feel like a plot device, when her injury becomes a mystery box of contradictions, it doesn't just hurt Caitlin. It damages trust between the league and its fans, between the team and its supporters, and most importantly, between Caitlin and the organization that's supposed to protect her. And yes, we need to talk about how this could impact her future with the Fever. Because say it with me now, if the franchise can't protect her now, what makes us think they will later? She's a generational star. She could take her talents anywhere. And if this first-year experience ends with her sideline mishandled and fed to the media wolves, she'll remember that. Her team will remember that. And future free agents? Oh, they'll definitely remember that. This isn't just about a groin strain anymore. This is about trust, about how a league handles its biggest asset, about whether a player can believe what her coaches, doctors, and front office are telling her. Right now, that belief is shaky at best. Because if Caitlin Clark's out permanently this season, and that's looking more likely by the hour, it won't just be a loss for Indiana. It'll be a cautionary tale for the entire WNBA. And it's already been written in real time. All right, so now that the she's out indefinitely whispers have turned into full-blown rumblings of a permanent shutdown, let's talk about something no one really wants to say out loud. What if this whole thing was avoidable? Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark wasn't just overhyped coming into the league. She was overplayed, overexposed, and overused from day one. The second she signed that rookie contract, she became the WNBA's walking billboard. And the Fever? Oh, they cashed in on it. 40 minutes a night. No load management. Constant national press. Every appearance scheduled to the minute. Commercials. Press junkets. Back-to-backs. And somehow we're shocked that her body eventually hit the wall. This wasn't just a rookie season. This was a media circus disguised as a basketball schedule. And her groin? Yeah, it gave out, but who wouldn't under all that pressure? And don't think this is just about minutes on the court. It's also what was happening off the court that added to the strain. The weight of carrying an entire league's marketing campaign on your back? It's not just exhausting, it's unsustainable. One week, she's fly across the country for an ESPN sit-down. The next, she's the centerpiece of a photo shoot that takes all day. Then she's back on the court, expected to drop 25 while being hacked like she's in the Hunger Games and still smile in the post-game presser. No wonder her body said, "Girl, sit down." And now she's sitting, but not by choice. And the damage isn't just physical, it's reputational. Let's talk perception. Because with every passing day of silence and misdirection, Caitlin Clark is going from the face of the league to the face of, why is nobody telling us the truth? Think about it. Fans who bought tickets months in advance under the promise of seeing Caitlyn play are showing up to arenas and seeing a bench-wrapped figure in a hoodie. And they're mad. They should be. This isn't just about entertainment. It's about honesty. Where's the update? Where's the clarity? Where's the respect for the people investing time and money into this league? And even worse, where's the respect for her? Because right now, this radio silence isn't protecting Caitlyn. It's hurting her. When people don't get answers, they make up their own, and that's exactly what's happening. Wild theories are flooding social media. Everything from, she's secretly planning to leave Indiana, to the WNBA is covering up a career-ending injury. And guess what? When there's no truth, any narrative can take hold. The league had the chance to control the message. They didn't. So now the message is chaos. And we haven't even scratched the surface on how this could affect her brand. Because while Nike and Gatorade are still running campaigns with her name, they've also been suspiciously quiet about her health. No, we support Caitlyn during her recovery. No, we stand behind our athlete. Just ghost town. That's the dark side of being the face. When things are good, everyone wants a piece. When things turn murky, you're on your own. And now Caitlyn is left with a brand that's everywhere and a body that isn't cooperating. The dissonance? It's becoming deafening. Now let's talk about what happens if she's shut down for the season, which, let's be real, is the only logical move at this point. Because rushing her back for a few meaningless games or a desperate playoff push isn't just stupid, it's career sabotage. But the optics of shutting her down? Oh, they're a minefield. For the Fever, it's a PR disaster. This was supposed to be the Cinderella season. Ticket sales were up, jerseys flying off the shelves. National relevance for the first time in forever. And now, it's turning into a cautionary tale about overplaying your golden goose. For the league, it's even worse. Caitlyn Clark was the WNBA's foot in the door, the ratings bump, the casual fan converter. And now the biggest story in the sport is an injury scandal they don't seem capable of managing. It's giving, we weren't ready for this level of attention. Which is wild, because they literally asked for it. They built an entire marketing strategy around her, leaned in, went all in, and then acted shocked when she broke under the weight. So, where do we go from here? If Caitlyn's out, truly out, for the rest of the season, a few things have to happen, or this situation could cause damage that lingers well past a single injury. First, transparency. The Fever need to get in front of Mike and explain, clearly and specifically, what happened, what the timeline is, and what the plan is. No more she's progressing. No more she's in good spirits. We want facts, diagnosis, recovery protocol, timetable, something. Second, ownership from the league. The WNBA needs to acknowledge how poorly the situation has been handled, and more importantly, what changes they'll make so this never happens again. Rookies should be protected. Stars should be managed. Players should be prioritized, not marketed into the ground and tossed aside when things go sideways. Third, support for Caitlyn. Not just a tweet, not just a highlight reel. We're talking real, visible backing. Bring her into commentary if she's sidelined. Make her part of the coverage. Keep her face out there on her terms. Let her speak directly to fans, not through a sanitized team statement. Let her control her story again. Because right now, it's being written without her. And fourth, accountability for the coaching staff and front office. If it comes out that Caitlyn Clark was encouraged, either explicitly or implicitly, to play through early symptoms, that's a fireable offense. If they downplayed her condition to keep us going, that's a reputation killer. And if they lied about her timeline to juice ticket sales, that's malpractice. This isn't just about one player anymore. This is about the standard being set for how the league handles injury, star power, and player well-being. And let's be brutally honest. If this happened to a male athlete, you'd have 12 reporters live tweeting the rehab process. You'd have team statements every 3 days. You'd have doctors giving full medical breakdowns and an entire ESPN segment titled, "What's Next to the Franchise?" But here, we get vague quotes, edited sound bites, and silence. Caitlyn Clark deserves better. She's given this league everything. Her name, her health, her time, her energy. And now, when she needs clarity, support, and protection, she's being treated like a press release waiting to happen. And it's not just disappointing. It's infuriating. Because this is the part where the narrative could have shifted, where the league and her team could have said, "We made mistakes. We're protecting her now. We're thinking long-term." They could have made it a redemption arc. But instead, they're dragging this out one cryptic injury update at a time and hoping we all just forget. Spoiler, we won't. Caitlin Clark's injury isn't just a setback. It's a spotlight. And what it's exposing is a league still figuring out how to treat its biggest stars. And until someone steps up and tells the truth, the damage will keep piling up. And now, we have to address the elephant that everyone's dancing around, but no one's really confronting. What if Caitlin Clark is quietly planning her exit? No, not from the league entirely, but from Indiana. Because if you step back for a second and really take in the way this injury has been handled, from the foggy timelines to the lack of player-first messaging, it feels like the kind of situation that makes a superstar start thinking ahead. The kind of slow-burning disaster that plants a little seed. Maybe this isn't where I want to spend my prime. And honestly, who would blame her? Caitlin came into the league as the most hyped rookie the WNBA has ever seen. She didn't ask for the circus, but she walked into it with grace. And in return, what did she get? No protection, no consistent coaching, no unified locker room, and now, no clarity on a medical issue that directly impacts her future. Let's not forget, her contract isn't a lifetime deal. This isn't college anymore. This is a pro level. And when the rookie contract ends, she has options. She could move to a team with infrastructure, a coaching staff that protects its players, a media team that knows how to handle crisis PR, a medical team that doesn't let a groin strain turn into a full-on disappearance. Teams are already circling, watching this disaster unfold in real time like, oh, she's going to remember everything. And if we're being honest, there's a growing sense that the Fever were simply not ready for what Caitlin brought with her. They were hoping for a star. What they got was a movement. And movements? They need structure, stability, strategy. Instead, Indiana's been handing out vibes and guesswork. Even the coaching strategy, before the injury, was sketchy at best. They had Caitlin out there running decoy plays, stuck in corners, barely being utilized as offensive weapon she is. You've got a once-in-a-generation scorer, and you're not even building the offense around her? It was already giving wasted potential, and that was before she was sitting on the bench wrapped in ice packs. And don't think the Players' Union isn't watching all of this unfold, because they are. Because Caitlin's situation is about to become a case study in what not to do with star athletes in this league. The second of medical mishandling or behind-the-scenes coercion leaks. Every player in the league is going to be on high alert. If this can happen to Caitlin Clark, what about everyone else? And the media? Oh, the media is loving the chaos, but they're also starting to question things that go beyond just the injury. Where's Caitlin's agency in all of this? Where are her reps, her team, her people advocating loudly on her behalf? Because right now, it feels like she's being handled by people who are more interested in protecting optics than protecting her body. Let's not forget how we got here. It didn't start with the injury. It started the moment she was thrown into the fire. Game after game, physically targeted, bodied by veterans, hacked, grabbed, undercut, and the officials swallowed their whistles. The league let it happen. The team let it happen. And now we're surprised her body broke down? This wasn't some fluke accident in practice. This was the result of months of overuse, underprotection, and hyperexposure. And it's been brewing from the beginning. Remember that game when she took a brutal hip check and stayed down longer than usual? Everyone held their breath. But she popped back up, smiled, and kept playing. That should have been the red flag. That was the body's first warning shot. But it got ignored because the league needed her. The team needed her. The cameras needed her. And now, here we are, a sideline superstar, a fan base growing restless, a media storm that only intensifies with each game she misses, and a team still fumbling every chance to get ahead of the narrative. At this point, even Caitlin's teammates seem unsure of what's going on, and it shows. The post-game quotes about her have gone from "she's doing great, can't wait to have her back," to vague throwaway lines like "she's working through some stuff," and "we're focused on who's here." The shift? Not subtle. It almost feels like they've started emotionally moving on, like they're being coached to stop talking about her altogether. And you know what that signals? Detachment, disconnection, distance. Not exactly what you want between a team and their franchise player. And let's be honest, Caitlin is the franchise. Without her, this team goes back to being a bottom-tier, overlooked squad. Before she arrived, their attendance numbers were pitiful. Their national relevance was zero. Now, they're leading highlight reels, getting prime-time games, and trending on social media daily, even while she's injured. So how are they showing their gratitude? By letting her sit on the bench with the vague status of not yet practicing, with no real communication plan, with silence so loud it's starting to echo. Here's a question. Has anyone from the team even come out and said definitively she's not being rushed? We're prioritizing her long-term health over anything else? No, didn't think so. And if you're Caitlin, you're watching this unfold and realizing something terrifying. You're the most valuable player in the room and still somehow not protected. And now we have to consider the mental toll. Because when you're an athlete, injuries are already hard. But when the public turns your recovery into a guessing game, when fans start getting annoyed that you're not toughing it out, when every headline speculates about your pain, like it's a marketing variable, that messes with you. She's not just rehabbing a groin. She's managing a psychological minefield. Expectations, disappointment, pressure, the constant reminder that your body is betraying you at the worst possible time. And this is where the damage goes deep. Because even when she does come back, if she comes back this season, there will be hesitation, distrust, a little voice in the back of her head whispering, "What if they're not telling me everything again?" That's what happens when teams don't communicate. That's what happens when recovery becomes a PR game. That's how faith erodes. Let's also talk about the younger generation watching this. The middle schoolers wearing number 22. The high school players who saw Caitlin as the new gold standard. The college stars hoping to follow in her footsteps. What are they learning? That if you become too successful too fast, your health becomes commodity? That injuries are be hidden, minimized, spun into vague marketing speak? That even at the highest level, with the biggest spotlight, your well-being comes second? That's not just disappointing, it's dangerous. And here's the truly bitter irony. The WNBA needed Caitlin to grow, but in their rush to use her, they forgot to protect her, and now she's paying the price. Every day that passes without a clear update, without a full timeline, without visible care being taken, it chips away at the credibility of everyone involved. And Caitlin? She's sitting there quietly, stoic on the sidelines, wrapped in layers, hiding pain we can't see. But make no mistake, she's watching. She's taking notes. And when her time comes to make decisions about her recovery, her contract, her future, she's going to remember every single thing that was said and every single thing that wasn't. And so will we.